On the podcast this week, I talked to Carlos de Garza. He is the group development chef for the well-known restaurant Three Phils, one of the best modern Asian places to eat in the city. We discuss all things Michelin stars to working for one of the most iconic chefs of the century. He has a very interesting heritage and an amazing food culture. Please listen out for a story regarding aioli. Time to rock and roll. Welcome back to the Chef JKP podcast. And today, a very special guest, Chef Carlos, who is the group development chef for the Three Phils group. Carlos, welcome to the podcast.
Hey James, how are you, man? Thank you for letting me do this.
No, man, our pleasure. Really, absolute honor to have you here. We have a lot to discuss. Now, first things first, tell us about your experience, where you've traveled, where you've been, and how you became the development chef for the Three Phils group.
Well, I'm half Mexican, half Russian, so that's for sure. I've been in Mexico and Russia. I traveled in Europe. I work in London. I work in States. I work in Japan a little bit, just a short time period as a training. I work in France, which was amazing. Just travel around the world, been in Southeast Asia. I spend most of my time in Malaysia, and that's why I love Asian food. And I sometimes to say to myself, I'm more Asian than Asians. That's kind of an insult, but it's true. I told even my wife, because my wife, she's half Asian, and sometimes I say things to her, and she's like, "Oh, we don't do that," and I'll be like, "Well, I do that," and she's like, "That's too Asian to me." She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, that's how I do it." How I become a group chef? I'll be honest, one of my best mates work actually there, and he introduced me to the owners. I think we spent 2 hours talking about my philosophy on cooking, and the guy was like, "You know what? Can you cook for me food?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I did for him one time tasting, and he threw me second tasting. He's like, "Can you do molecular gastronomy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can try that. I'm not really good at it, but let me try it." Then I did third tasting, which is he asked me to do crack pie, you know, the company, the milk crack pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, cool, I can find the recipe. I've looked, researched it, and I have a friend who knows a friend who works in the milk. And I was like, "Mate, I need the recipe. Can you just help me to crack that recipe?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, no worries." And when they tried it, honestly, they just loved the pie, and they just like, "You hired from that pie."
Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's called crack pie. There's so much sugar. I mean, like, when I think it was like 500 grams of brown sugar, 100 grams of white sugar, you know, and lots of butter. Lots. It's just these 3 ingredients, and that's it. And corn powder. That's it. Nothing else. That's just the butter, and they just burn and caramelize like to a crisp, and then the chiller, and it's just it's just a sugar kill, overkill, right there.
Wow.
Yeah. I like when I made that once. I burned the sugar. It tastes burned. Then I make it second time. It tastes a little bit different. Then I was like, "Mate, I need your help. I need the recipe. Give it to me. How you guys do it?" There's a couple of tricks they do it. It's about the blast chilling about it. And I was like,
right.
"Oh, okay, cool. That's why."
Wow.
Yeah.
And in terms of your heritage,
Oh.
what do you prefer, Russian food or Mexican food? No pressure.
No pressure. I like, not really, none of them actually. I mean, like, I have favorite food.
Yeah.
Mexicans, I love tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Any taco, just give me a taco and I will be happy. In Russia, you give me just the caviar and rye bread.
Oh, beautiful.
With butter, just the normal cultured butter, not the storage butter that you buy in the store. But because in Russia there is like a cultured butter with beautiful bacteria and just the black caviar. Well, no, not black. I actually like red caviar. I'm not a big fan of black caviar. Red caviar and the bread. That's like a classical Russian appetizer. Let's call it that way. But I like more Asian food.
Okay, so that's the key for you.
Yeah, Asian food, especially raw.
Especially, I mean, Three Phils is
Exactly.
a modern Asian restaurant, and one of the very, very best in the city.
Yeah, treated that.
100%. Now, you know, you've travelled extensively. However, you've worked with some of the best chefs in the world. Can you name some of those and which kitchens you really particularly were fond of?
Alright, so I started my career working with Adam Gray. He's a two-Michelin star chef in London. I started working with him. I can see that.
Serious chef.
Yeah, he's a very serious chef. I mean, like, first time I came to the kitchen, I was scared. I don't know what I'm gonna go through because it was like, it's fresh after college. Yeah, fresh after college. Yeah, I was
and
like,
London kitchens.
Yeah, London kitchens, exactly, London kitchens. And I was like, but it's okay, I can go through it. I mean, like, because before being a chef, I was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the military intelligence, and I got used to the discipline, shouting at people.
So you get it?
Yeah, I was like, I can do it, I can push myself. And I came to the kitchen. I actually was surprised. It's a different game, completely different game. It's so... It's something else. But I saw the staff very energetic and very dynamic with themselves. And I've never seen chefs like this, like Adam Gray. Because, you know, like when you think about Michelin star chef, plus he's a kind of a celebrity chef also. And you'd be like, he's probably really scary, like Gordon Ramsay or like Marco Pierre White, all those chefs. But no, every staff loves him. Everyone loves him. Everyone respects him. He treats everyone like a family member. He knows that guy over there, Gomi, he knows how many he have children, what's the name of the children, what time the children need to go to the school, what time he need to pick them up. I mean, like, he knows the small little details of his stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, what? This guy is really good. I mean, like, and he's a very disciplined chef. Like, he the one who actually taught me how to be more disciplined with my sleeping and with my reading and with being a chef. Because dude wakes up like at 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, and he runs, then he cycles. Sometimes he swims, then he goes back to work, and he's at work at 8 o'clock. I mean, like, half a day is just done. You're like, what? This guy is a machine. And you know what? The funny thing, he was always involved with mise en place. Always. I've never seen him to not touching to do something. Like, he was cooking it, he was making it, he was creating it. Just chef, always there.
Wow.
I mean, like, a great chef, amazing guy. He taught me a lot. To be disciplined of myself, to be a great leader also. Because I worked with him for quite a long time, almost 2.5 years. Yeah, around like that, 2 to 2.5 years. Because he was working for D&D London Group together, and like, he took his collectible chef and he was moving with them. Yeah, and after that I went to work with Paul Bocuse.
You went with Paul Bocuse?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I already went there. Man, it's a difficult kitchen. It's difficult. It's different kitchen. Everything is so different there. Everything is from scratch. Like, you know, when you watch YouTube videos about the kitchen, because I was about to go there and I wanted to research it. You watch the YouTube videos, you see how the kitchen is. And it's quite really small. It's so small. And everything is from scratch. We're talking butchering chicken, skinning the rabbit. You give like a huge lamb, rib cage of a lamb, and you need to debone it. And it's a huge one, it's not a small one. And butchering everything from scratch, picking the herbs. It's just really, really intense work.
Wow.
Yeah, and you have like, I think, his personal chefs, like, who works for him, I think it's only 12 people. Rest of the staff is just like training and like apprenticeship, and they don't get paid at all. But they have their own housings, they have their own food. But guys doing their 16 to 18 hours a day. 16 to 18 hours a day. It's just really crazy. It's, I cannot explain it to you, because like, you come early in the morning and they give you huge prep, mise en place this size, and you need to push it before it starts till dinner.
So how did you find the difference between, let's say, a London kitchen brigade, and then making that change to classical French kitchen, legendary Paul Bocuse, because that must have been also quite a culture shock as well.
Yeah, because, well, culture shock, no one speaks English very well, and my French is not very good, but I just have an opportunity and I jump in. But it's very different game. On the bus, plating bus, around 8 to 9 people plating, where in London it's just 2 chefs, which is head chef and the sous chef just plating most of the time, and the food sends out. But there is just like kind of, I wouldn't say, but it's organized mess. It's a mess, but it's organized mess. The guys knows what they're doing, and the kitchen there is a little bit different dynamics over there. It's they don't have this boss. They don't have this servings. Chef doesn't really shout a lot there. I mean, they shout to the orders, but they don't shout like, give me that, give me that. Mm-hmm. The people already know what to do, and it's like they connect, it's like a link, they connected with each other. And it's like when you want to join them in the brigade line, you need to be connected and you need to think like them. It took me some time to adjust that, because I really want to learn the classical food, French classics. Because, till now, I mean, actually they recently lost their star. I mean, like they've been 50 plus years, 3-star restaurant, just continuously, and they were amazing, and they lost their star. And I think because of the food is really, like, it's outdated.
But it's classical French, right?
It's a classical
But what a
French.
better, this is probably one of the best places in the world to learn classical recipes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like the butter, how to make the sauce, how to make it. We were making it sometimes our own butter. Just sometimes culture butter. There was sometimes, it's like compound butter, but we make it from the milk, the fat of it, we boil it and we take it. It was really difficult. It was so technicality over there. I couldn't believe that. I was like, oh wow. I was like, I don't really want to work there. I don't want to stay there too long. I think I'm just gonna move on from it because it's really difficult. It's something different.
But something amazing to learn there.
Yeah, something amazing to learn. I mean, like I've learned the brigade line over there. I mean, like on the stove, because they put me on the stove. And I've learned how to take care of my meat and how to take care of my chicken and fish and foie gras. Because I have a funny story about that one. Now on foie gras burning experience. Because Paul Bocuse is never around the kitchen most of the times. He was in the office.
Sure.
And in the service, I mean, like he stopped by and is in the kitchen, but kitchen is busy. We don't have a time like, oh, hi, chef. We don't have that time because kitchen is really busy all the time. He just goes, tries this, tries that. They speak something with their head chef, Chef Boulevard, Christian Boulevard. He's like, yeah, sure. That's it. I remember there was a busy service. I think it was a huge event they have for their tables. And we need to do foie gras, and I burned foie gras.
How many?
I burned like 10, 12 pieces.
Oh Jesus! What, like the whole load?
No, like a small, because there's like small cuts of the foie gras, so you just pan fry them with like I just leave a touch of butter, and you need to burn them. But I have a chicken in the oven, and I have a beef there. I have a beef over there. I have a fish over there. So just didn't look a specific time to that burn it, and the Chef Boulevard just grabbed me by the hand, like really strong grab, pulled me to the side, pulled me like that. I was like, listen, mate. Well, his French is not really good. I mean, like his English is not really good because I don't know how to make French accent, but if I know, it will really sound funny. It's like, listen to me. Why you here? Why you wanna be a chef? If you just burn a little foie gras, how you can be a chef? And I was just, it's like after Adam Gray, where there is not really a lot of shouting is done there. It's just more energetic kitchen, more motivation, he motivates guy, where there is just a little bit different. I was shocked, and it's like, there is 1,000 chefs who want to be on your spot over here. They will kill for this spot. If you want to cook for me, and for this restaurant with love and put your heart to it. And I was like, wow, whoa.
Deep words.
Deep words. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, and I told him like, we chef, sorry chef. And he's like, don't tell me ever sorry. Do it better. That's it. And I was like, okay, chef. But it was intense, mate.
And then where did you go after that? Because that must have been, London, then Bocuse, and then?
And then after that, I actually went to work a little bit in States. Work in States. I just work small restaurants over there, but just for fun. But then I did some trainings in Asia. Just learn street food, hawker food.
Yeah.
Just want to see how it's done. A little bit take classes with, it's not a classes, but more like I work for free. They were teaching me how to make sushis, how to make yakitoris. I fall in love with yakitoris. I mean, because like Japanese chefs, there's so many divisions, you divided so many times on yourself. You have a sushi chef and you have a grill chef, you have a roboto chef. I fall in love with grilling and just take a little bit classes over there, how to grill, how to learn, because it's a big philosophy with the fire, charcoal, the chicken itself, the butchering chicken itself. Do you know that the Japanese chefs have a Japanese knife that only for chicken, butchering chicken? I was like, what? Just the butchering chicken, you have a knife? That's an amazing thing.
That is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, that's a respect. That's why the Japanese food is more, they go gimmicky, they're more very nerdy about it. They go so nerdy. Actually, there is a name for that. I forgot how you call it, but there's a name for that. They do so intense. They just put themselves and they think how it to be better, how to make it better, how to cook it better, how to produce it better.
But then, if you look at the Japanese food scene as a whole, globally, it's a renowned cuisine, and some of the chefs are incredible, one of the best, or some of the best in the world.
Yeah, true to that.
And it sounds like this is one of the reasons, because they're intrinsically trained and honed in to their trade.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So, wow. So you've had quite a history.
Yeah, quite a history.
So for people who are not based in Dubai or the UAE, tell us about Three Fields. What type of food do you do in Three Fields?
In Three Fields, it's more modern Asian food with Japanese twist. Honestly, we have carpaccios, which is not Japanese, but we still use Japanese ingredients there. Three Fields it's bold, it's honest, on a plate. It's what it is. It's how it's supposed to be. And we have so much complaints, customers coming why we don't serve soy sauce on the site, because we don't. Honestly, we don't serve soy sauce, and we try to explain people, that chefs knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Because like in Japan, there is a sauce you put nikiri, which is it's a specific sauce that is a reduction of Japanese sugar, mirin, and soya. Just reduced, and you put on top of the sushi. You don't need soy sauce. It's something, it already have a flavor. Rice vinegar is already seasoned properly. On top you have a wasabi, gives you the bitterness, the mustardness. You have a fresh fish, salmon, tuna, maguro, whatever. Then you have this salty, sweet, umami flavor brush to it. And whatever you put on top just for garnishing. But to explain to that customer is quite difficult, especially in front of the house, facing a lot of troubles of that. Yeah.
But again, I have to say, if you look at the number one, I want to take myself out of being a chef, and if you do extensive research on Three Fields, it's one of the most consistent restaurants out there for the guests.
Yes.
It's consistent in terms of the pricing is incredible, the food is delicious and amazing, and whenever you seem to go there, it's a walk-in restaurant. Whenever you want to go there, there's always a 45-minute wait. Now that tells you something.
Yeah.
And people wait because the food is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, congratulations to yourself and to the team, because that's not easy.
Yeah.
And then from a chef's perspective, the food is technical.
Yes.
It is, it's on the plate, but every time you eat it, it's incredibly well seasoned. Textures are there. It's fresh. It's lively. It's everything you want it to be as a meal. It is really one of the best restaurants within Dubai.
Thanks, man.
But one of the things that really interests me about you is your love of fermentation, because you also start putting that into the food.
Yeah.
There was one dish which you served me, which was, I believe, was the tuna fermented taco, and
it was aged tuna with fermented yuzu.
Yes, and I thought this was an absolute genius dish. Please tell us, where did this love of fermentation come from?
Love from fermentation. Honestly, it comes from my grandfather. Because I grew up in Russia most of the times. I grew up in Dubai, between Dubai, Mexico, and Russia. But my summertime, my winter time, I spent with my grandfather in Russia, because my mom, she thought it's better to me to see the snow, because I've not seen the snow for 20 plus years, I think.
And the snow meaning minus 20,
yeah,
minus 30.
20, something like that, to get used to it. And whenever I come to his house, he have a huge cupboard, and when you open it, you have preserved vegetables from the summer, jams from the fruits of that year of the summer, lacto-fermented beans, lacto-fermented cabbage, lacto-fermented carrots or beetroot, and he make drinks from out of it, it's non-alcoholic drinks, but it's a more umami flavor. He have his own vinegar, like a mother of vinegar, they call it.
Yes.
It's a huge jelly-looking, smoggy thing. He was making it from 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah, because my grandfather was a chef, head chef. It was a restaurant in Russia, but because it was a Soviet Union time, you're not allowed to call it restaurant. There was no business privatization or anything. So it was like a cafeteria, but it was really expensive cafeteria, where all the people from Kremlin, high-ranking KGB and high-ranking ministers, would eat there. It was really simple food.
So he was based in Moscow?
Yeah, he was based in Moscow. He worked there, I think, 20 plus years.
Wow.
I think he quit in 87, yeah, something like that, 87 or 88, he quit as a chef.
Mm-hmm.
He took time to relax.
Sure.
Yeah. But
I'm sure he needed it.
Yeah, 20 years
working
running,
with people like that.
Yeah. He was running at the kitchen with 200 plus stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 200 plus stuff. Because I remember even I've never seen him inside the kitchen. I heard his stories about the kitchen and the way he was cooking, the way he was presenting food. Even those days, my granddad was doing something crazy. He was presenting fermented food in the dishes itself, and I was like, hey, if back in 80s, I can do it now. And look at all the restaurants around the world. Not all, but 70% are using fermentation, lacto-fermentation, pickling in their food. And it's something, kind of growing slowly, but it's there. It's gonna be there. Because of the fermentation, by the way, I actually changed my degree. I was doing some koji growing with chickpeas, just for myself, and after a couple of times of failing, I was like, I need to know really well this fermentation and grow my kojis, my bacteria. Because I was doing culinary diploma, and I was doing, I think, hospitality management, something degree. And I wasn't really a fan of it, to be honest. I was like, I want to be a chef. I don't really want to be in hospitality itself. And my university in Malaysia, they brought this degree called culinology. And I was like, I need to change that. It was all about bacteria. It was all about molecular food packaging. It was really technical. And I was very gimmicky. And I was like, I'm into that. I want to learn that. and I changed because of that. And that will help me a lot with my fermentation.
Wow. So that must have been quite magical, you know, apart from the -20 winters,
Yeah.
which I'm sure are magical.
Yeah.
That must have been incredible for you to go and see your granddad, listen
Yeah.
to his stories, taste that food that was picked in an earlier season and
Exactly.
then fermented or made into a jam. I think that's quite something.
Yeah.
And that made quite an impact in your culinary life.
Exactly.
So, amazing, and congratulations on 3 films, honestly.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
But you being one of the most prominent chefs in the UAE, what do you feel, apart from the pandemic, is the biggest challenge that chefs are facing in the industry right now?
The issue, for me, it's the issue of mental well-being for a chef, honestly. You know, a couple of years ago was when Chef Bourdain passed away. I mean, that was a really sad moment for around the world, to the chefs, you know. But for me, as a person, as a chef, I questioned myself. I was like, wait, he committed suicide. You know, it was a natural cause, it was an accident, it was something, he took his own personal life. And you'd be like, wait, just give a second, like, this guy actually had the best job in the world. He was living fulfillist, he was traveling, eating, you know, like doing all this stuff, but nobody knew that he was suffering from depression. And it's really difficult. And you know, like when you're at senior level, I think you know and I know, and a lot of people who listen knows that you need to be at this level as a chef where you need to always put a smiley face, a happy face, and nobody need to know that. And it's kind of messing around with yourself, you know. We joke around, we say it's a chef life, we forget about it and we're moving on forward, which is kind of wrong, I think. Which we should, as a chefs, we need that help, you know. We need that help to ourselves, each other, take some time off, take some breaks. With me, honestly, like, even I sometimes felt guilty not doing 80 hours per week. Like me leaving early from work, not closing time. I was like, hey, how's my guys gonna do? Like, I cannot do that because how do we look like if I leave early? I go, and because of that, my personal life suffers. Mm-hmm. My wife suffers, my family suffers, everything suffers. It clashes a lot. But then, like, you need to take that. It's really hard to explain to not chefs, because most of the things we're not doing for money, and you know that we're just doing because of our passion. With what we're doing, we love what we do. That's probably one of the biggest challenges here in Dubai. I mean, like, not in Dubai, but worldwide as chefs.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, so for everyone who is listening, Carlos is aptly wearing an amazing Dubai Chefs Collective t-shirt. Excuse me. So the point of the Dubai Chefs Collective when we started this was purely about support. The Dubai Chefs Collective started through the beginning of 2020, so March 2020, and a lot of chefs they stayed on their jobs, but they were not being paid. There was a lot of issues that were happening, and the entire point of the Dubai Chefs Collective was to make sure that everybody was supported in one way or another. So what the cool thing was, one of the big things, as you said, was about mental health. Because when you're specifically in a senior level,
exactly,
you don't get the time to talk to your friends, you don't get the time to talk to your family, and this was a way for everybody to get together as a community and talk about one of these stigmas, which is mental health. And you're right, so many chefs have spoken to me and said, I left earlier, what type of example am I setting? And it just goes on and on and on, and it snowballs up until you feel desperate. And unfortunately, Mr. Bourdain suffered from depression. Nobody knew, and unfortunately, he took his own life. So I think this is one of the biggest things that's happening. I know that in the UK there is a charity called Hospitality Action for Hospitality, I believe, and that's what they're all about. It's all about, they find chefs who have mental health or have gone into alcoholism and things like this, and they really talk about it. One. So it's a huge point you're making, and I think it needs to be out in the open a little bit more, and it doesn't mean feel ashamed.
Yeah,
it's normal.
Yeah, when you show it, it's not a weakness of a man. It's more of the wisdom you learn it, because you show it. Because it's just this stereotype of a man, like of being a solid rock. But it's okay to show it and talk about it.
Absolutely,
find professional help.
Absolutely, and I think it doesn't matter whether you're talking to professionals or talking to groups of people. The point is, talk.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
Yeah, just
get it out.
Just get it out.
So, well, that's really interesting, Carlos. That's really interesting. I really agree with your point. I really do.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start to make this a little bit more light-hearted.
Okay.
So I want you to go back into your mind and what we call the ratatouille moment of the podcast. Now, first of all, I want you to there's two questions. I want you to tell me your first or your favorite ever food memory. So that's number one. It's your favorite ever food memory. Number two would be the meal of a lifetime and why. So it could be a restaurant that you've eaten at. It could have been your granddad's food. Whatever that may be, I would like to know.
Right, for the first question, it's actually my granddad's food. Because there was one time I went, because I told you I went most of the times on winter, but there's one time I went on summer and he was on vacation. And we went like, I think it was like 2 hours, 3 hours away from Moscow. I don't really know the name of the city. I mean, not town, it's not a city. It's a small town. He took huge lamb with him. He marinated with onion water. There's such a thing. That's a Russian thing. I mean, like, it's not a Russian, it's a Caucasian stuff. Yeah, it's a onion water, thick yogurt, sour cream, and just a roasted garlic. He just marinated for 12 hours and grilled it in open fire. I mean, like, I have the recipe, dude. I have the recipe. I don't know why, but it doesn't come same as my grandfather's. And on the side, he was serving like some kind of flat bread. Like I don't know what you call it, like a flat bread with caramelized onions, and on top he put fermented beans. And just that lamb, you just jar it and you put it on top, and you like a big, huge sandwich.
Wow!
And it's just so delicious. That's for the first question.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah. The last meal, as you say, probably will be a good omakase. Any restaurant in Japan. Honestly, just a good omakase. Something classic, simple, but at the same time with a huge twist. Doesn't matter which chef, doesn't matter how many Michelins. It can be just on the corner, it can be just really not good place, but just a good food overall.
Wow.
Yeah, for me it's probably the one.
So, you've already told us a funny story about foie gras.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to push you for another one.
Sure.
So, I want to know your funniest, at the time I'm sure it wasn't funny, but your funniest kitchen incident or accident.
Alright, so I have one, but it's not funny at all. It's funny because what happened, and after that you'll be like, it's a lesson. I'm not going to do that again, There was one time I worked in a restaurant. I was my second day of first week, and they put me at the dinner and the prep for the next day. That was a weekend, and I was a couple of guys, me and a sous chef. And I was like, guys, I'm gonna go in the back, do the prep for the guys. So we have like a mise en place board. We look at it, I was like, see, saffron alioli. I was like, ooh, you want to learn also, it's your first week of work, of new job in your restaurant. You want to learn their mentality, their set, their kitchen flow, their preparations, their recipes. I was like, let me learn that stuff. I took the recipe how to make saffron alioli. I came to the chef, I was like, chef, and he's like, what? Because he was on the bus, and you know how the bus is running, and he's like, what do you want? I was like, I'm gonna do saffron aioli. Yeah, go do it. Just grab the recipe and multiply everything to 10. I was like, oui, chef. I went back, took the book, look at the recipe, says 10 egg yolks, 25 ml of white wine vinegar. And it just goes on, roasted garlic, saffron water, and at the end, 10 grams of salt. I was like, 10 grams of salt? Wait, if multiplied to 10, that's gonna be 100 grams of salt. That's gonna be a lot of salt. It's gonna be salty. I was like, let me just go check with my sous chef. I was like, he's like, chef, and he's like, what? I told you, get lost. I'm busy. Just follow the recipe. I was like, but there is a mistake. It's no mistake. It's 100% proof recipes. And I was like you don't want to like be on his bad side because he's a really intense guy. And I was like, we chef, no worries, I'll just do it. So I just started to do it, and I'm holding like, the 1x1 inserts, the containers. There's 100 grams of salt, and like put egg yolks, and it's whipping. And I was like, well, 100% proof after all. I just chucking in 100 grams of salt. For the weekend, we just have a 200 seats restaurant. So imagine, and it's like a lot. And I made it, I pack it, I put in the packing bags. And I was like, chef, you want to try it? He's like, no, I'm busy, just put it down and leave. I was like, okay, cool. Came in the morning and everyone looks at me. Everyone. And there was one girl, and she was like a funny girl because she did our morning shift. And she was always speaks the truth. She's like, ooh, someone gonna get hurt. I was like, what do you mean? She just, like make the joke from Russell Peters. I was like, what do you mean? Who's gonna get hurt? She's like, just wait when the head chef comes. So the head chef came, the sous chef came. They give me such a talk. And I'm like, you don't know how to calculate. You don't know how to produce the food. I was like, I like in my mind, I want to say, but it's your recipe, dude. Like, I was like, but then I was like, yeah, we chef, never gonna happen again. It's my mistake. From that, I learned a lesson. Sometimes don't believe the recipe cards, just go with your gut.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut.
The other lesson there is, don't argue with the head chef about his recipe, even if it's wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Of course.
I mean, like apparently their recipe book. Apparently they have this March. Everything have 10 grams of salt. He just put it on every recipe.
Ah, right.
So it's like he's kind of a secret. But yeah, well, I didn't know that.
Okay, well,
day. Yeah, it's funny.
Jesus, that's a lot of salt.
I waste a lot of egg yolks. I was so sad when I wasted it.
Oh my god. So now, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, and this is, I think, for you, is going to be quite a difficult question to answer. Who would you say are your top 3 culinary giants that you really look up to and respect?
Well, for me, 3 actually have chance to make 2. I never have a chance to make this guy. For me, number 3 will be Magnus Nelson, which is former Favican.
Mega talented chef.
Amazing. At 26, becoming a head chef of his own restaurant, a Michelin star, 30-course meals. And, I mean, like, it's just crazy.
Very talented guy.
Very talented guy. He was one of the first chefs, like before Noma, presenting preservation and fermentation in the food. And it wasn't that very popular with him, but imagine his root cellar, he calls it, which is like, I think, 100 meters will be his restaurant. It's a deep dive, like a bottom. Like it just looks really beautiful, very unique and very interesting. So I love his food. He is honest about his food, in a sense. His vision about the food is so different from all the chefs in Europe as a Nordic cuisine itself. Very, very different. He doesn't try to make it too complicated. He just do simple things. Because I have a book and I read the book. You'd be like, dude, I can make that. I honestly can make that. But it's just honest, and I like that. Second, David Kinch from Ressa. An amazing guy.
Amazing guy.
Man, it's talented chef. I actually met him in Dubai. Once. Yeah, I mean, like, I recognize him. He doesn't. I think he came for something. But it was like 3 years or 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. He came for something, but yeah, amazing guy. Really great guy. I love his cooking. I mean, like, you know, like when you watch Mind of a Chef, you read the book, Mandrasa, especially when you read the book, he put himself how to be an ingredient and how he will be eating as a human that ingredient. This is such a deep thought over there. You know, that a lot of chefs says that his kitchen is like a Shaolin temple, where you go inside and your mind is changed as a chef. You come out something different, something else. I like him because he uses a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
Lots of it. Like, even in the book, if you see it, you go through it, there is 80% on vegetables and on protein. And I like the Japanese vibes he gives. You have a chawamushis, you have ceviches. I like that part. Like, it's very interesting Californian style. Yeah, and number one for me will be Schomburg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Schomburg. I like him because he was a workaholic like me. But changing a little bit, I love this guy a lot. I like his heritage honesty about South cooking. You know, a lot of chefs, we struggle to find ourselves in what cuisines are we doing. But this guy already know what he was doing. He's from like Appalachians, mountains of Tennessee, which is very deep culture into preservation and fermentation. Again, you see, like his grandmother was doing this stuff for a long time, and also his mindset's like, if you watch the TV series and you look at the interviews or podcasts he does, you watch it and you listen it, you'll be like, the guy collects seeds as a hobby. It says a lot about the person as a chef, because he goes really deep into agriculture. He wants to know how from it comes to him on the table and on the chopping board and how to cook it. It's very deep.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's how I actually supposed to do. But you know, lots of chefs in the big cities.
Yeah, of course.
We got a little bit lazy. We got a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the true story about Schomburg, actually back in 2020 in January, I got an offer from him. I actually went to interview to work at his new restaurant, Audrey, in Nashville, as a developing chef with him together, because it was my dream to work with Schomburg as someone who is an amazing chef. But because of the Corona and COVID came, it didn't pass through, and the restaurant itself, Audrey, is on hold right now till it's already 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like a year plus, I mean 2 years almost. Yeah, which is a big concept restaurant, an amazing place to eat there. Yeah, that's
So-
3 big giants alike.
Wow, that's fantastic. And some serious guys as well.
Yeah.
So, from all of your experience and being a full-on professional chef for some time now, without saying your age, we don't say age here.
Okay.
All right. What would be your biggest piece of advice for any budding chefs or young chefs who are already in the industry?
First, invest in yourself. Like I started, because, yeah, we don't say the age. I started the age there was no applications. There was books. I bought a lot of books.
Yeah.
I still have those books. My house is like the wall full of books, from old books to new books. Like right now, I see you have so many apps to sign up, so many masterclass chefs to sign up, so many stuff. Invest in yourself. Just that little bit of money, $10 a month won't change anything to you. Honestly, you can learn new skills. You can learn how to be better at this specific cuisine or the specific ingredients, how to work with it. Second, buy your own set of knives. Honestly, just invest money on that. Just buy a set of knives.
The number one rule of Fight Club.
Yeah.
Invest in your own knives.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, invest on your knives. I have chefs coming in without knives for trials. And my guys, like, they've been trained. I told them, like, who comes without knives gives them a hell. And they just give them a hell. It's like, imagine if you go to the battle, where's your sword? How are you gonna fight? So they give that kind of, motivation speech to the guys. And I always, yeah, it is a motivation speech through trials. The guy might not get the job, but after that, he'll be like, I need to buy a knife. Yeah, just buy your knives for sure, honestly. And the third one for me, just don't be a dead end chef. Like have the ambitions to grow. And just set your plans, move forward, be better, learn better. And the last one, honestly, is just love work. How young generations, young chefs, they just tweezers, squeezing bottles, stuff like that. They just watch all the celebrity chefs. I mean, like not celebrity chefs. They watch all these videos and all this TV series, do stuff like that. I mean, like you and me know. To become a good chef, you need to work hard. You need to stay in the kitchen more than 10, 12 hours. And I have guys comes who apply for a head chef. After the second day in 3 fields, they quit. They run away because they couldn't handle it, the pressure. I have a story. One person came to work in the kitchen. She stand for 12 hours and she's like, I can't. It's difficult. Because she doesn't have a culinary background, and we as a 3 fields, we always take chance on new people and we try to shape them. We're trying to do a lot of things. We don't really take a lot of professional chefs. We take chefs who doesn't have a good background. We change them, we make them better. And that person was like, 12 hours is too much, chef. I was like, but this is how the chef life is. And I'm like, honestly, this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Just work hard.
No, it's true. I agree. I mean, there's no way around it.
No.
To be the top of your league, you have to work hard. I mean, I would say, yourself, you're a Formula One league.
Yeah.
It's the top of the top, and to get to the top, it's not easy.
No, it's
you
not
have
easy.
to dedicate yourself, work hard, do everything else that nobody wants to do.
Yeah, not sleep, have 2 hours, 3 hours
Exactly.
sleep a day. Just do it and do it.
Now, where can people get hold of you if they want to either email you or see your work and this kind of thing?
Well, James, I'm not so good at social media. We don't say social media.
So, social media, tell us.
But you can you can find me on my Instagram, which is Chef de Garza.
Yeah.
You can see it, honestly, over there.
And what's the website for 3 Fields?
3fields.com.
Brilliant. 3fields.com.
Yeah, 3fields.com. You can just stop by at 3 Fields and say, hey, we want to see Chef Carlos. We talk. It will be my pleasure to come to you and talk to you. And actually, most of the times, that's what I do. Just walk around the customers, talks to them, find really interesting people. Find really, really interesting people.
And feedback as well, which is huge, right?
Exactly.
This is really amazing because you need that feedback to get better.
Yeah, like sometimes people, when front of the house, ask them, especially waiters, they say everything is good. But when the chef or a manager comes in, they go more into detail.
Yes,
they
exactly.
say, this is not this is not like that, and that's really important over there.
Absolutely. Now I'm just going to recap on everything that we've just discussed because it's been quite fantastic. So about your experience, how you became a chef, and also your incredible Russian and Mexican roots. I've not heard that before, so I think it's quite unique. Working for some of the best in the world, so working for a 2-star chef in London.
Exactly.
And then working for a 3-star legendary Paul Bocuse. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Excuse me. Obviously, your travels that have been so extensive, that have shaped the way you cook. Then your love of fermentation coming from your granddad, which is really amazing. The biggest challenge that chefs are facing in the industry, about mental health, and it's okay to speak up.
Exactly.
There's no shame in it. It's more of a strength. Your favorite ever food memory and your meal of a lifetime in Japan. Yeah, I think I need to go there as soon as this pandemic's gone, please.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Funniest kitchen incident. Be careful with trusting recipes. with different chefs. 3 culinary giants, and they are absolutely culinary giants. Your biggest piece of advice for any young chef or budding chef, and I agree with you, hard work is hard work. That's it. That's the only way forward. And yeah, look, Carlos, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. So on behalf of myself and the Chef JKP podcast, I'd really like to say a huge thank you for taking the time, being here and giving us your story. Thank you so much.
Well, James, thank you. It's my pleasure being here, honestly. I love that. You know, you want to put your thoughts, let someone listen to it. It's an amazing, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it a lot.